My name is Gabrielle Bohan. I'm an attorney with Falcon Law Group in North Jersey. I also volunteer with various community groups that local, county, state, that promote inclusion with children with special needs into the community at large. My practice focuses on guardianships, supported decision-making, and special needs planning. So I was asked to talk to you about planning for tomorrow, long-range planning, and that can be very difficult for people because it's very overwhelming. You've got to think about finances, school, health, medical needs. So let's try to break this down into 5 basic steps. The first thing is to look at just to see, what does planning involve? The overall goal with planning is to look at preserving financial security and the quality of life that you want your loved one to have. You should be looking at key issues like understanding what public benefits are out there, making decisions about the future, providing for personal and financial needs, and deciding how to protect those assets and resources. And the most important thing about planning is your plan has to be flexible, and you have to look at it regularly. It's not something that you've done and stuck it in the drawer for the next 30 years. You have to look at it and update it regularly. You should take your concerns into consideration as well as your individual concerns. So the plan should reflect you as well as your loved one. So the first step is envisioning the future. That's kind of hard for most people, so you can break it down into 3-year, 5-year, 10-year type plans, and whatever the next major milestone you have in your child's life. You want to look at where your child's going to live, what type of care are they going to need, will guardianship will be necessary, who's going to be involved in this, what kind of lifestyle is desired for your loved one. You should look at where they are now and where they want to be in the future. What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What are their successes? What are their challenges? And when you start thinking about those people in their lives, start thinking about who they are going to be, who do they deal with on a regular basis as well. It's a trajectory. Where are you now and where do you want to go? So the next big thing is to write the plan. Now, some people call this a memo of intent. Personally, I call it a journal because it's always going to be changing going forward. The first part of your journal is going to be laying out the goals and expectations for your loved one. Detail their preferences, their needs, their wishes. Put down information about anybody who is involved in your child's life. What's their unique personality quirks? What's their challenges? What are their successes? Include medical history, rehabilitation services, recreational activities, educational services, and future work goals for them, because our children can also work. List down the key people in your loved one's life. All right, and as you're thinking of those are the people who are going to be part of your team. And it's going to be a team approach with your child going forward. Your team always starts off with your individual, the child. Then you're going to look at your family, their siblings, cousins, aunts, nieces, nephews. Look at their friends. Look at your friends who are supportive in their life. Next group is going to be the caregivers. What services are your child's receiving? What services are your child's going to be receiving in the future? Think about their case manager at school. Think about their support coordinator, any other type services that they receive. Then you're going to start looking at the community at large. Does your child belong to Scouts? What are their sports teams? What do they do in school? Are they involved in a sports team or an arts group? Is there a friend who they see a lot? Even think down to on Saturday. Do they go to the local bagel shop? And does that owner greet them every Saturday? Knows exactly what bagel your child wants and how to have it. And that tradition is important in your child's life. Think about holidays and traditions that you do. Those kind of activities. Is there someplace you always go for a holiday? Do you always go down the shore for vacation? Do you go out to the Delaware for vacation? Those traditions are important factors in your child's life. Jot them down because your child's going to want to do them as they get older, hopefully. Next step, again, estimating expenses and income. You're going to look at all the income that's coming to your child. Are they receiving supplemental security income, which is SSI? When you retire, they might be eligible for Social Security disability income. Then, are they earning money? Are they working? Are they receiving unearned income, like income from a trust or accounts that they have? Write down all the places that money's coming in. Then you're going to make a list of expenses. And you're going to look at expenses as all kinds of categories: housing, care assistance, personal needs, education, transportation. Is your child going to drive? Do they have a car? Are they going to use public transportation? What do they need for that? Medical and dental. What's not covered by insurance? What is covered by insurance? Food, not just groceries, but you're also thinking of, does your child like going out to restaurants? Do they like going to fancy restaurants or the local fast food place? Those things have to be put into the budget as well. And the all-important thing is social and recreational activities, movies, theme parks, going out with friends, pocket money. You're going to come up with all those kind of expenses. And more than likely, expenses are going to exceed income. That's where your shortfall is going to be. And that's where your planning and your own financial situation is going to be necessary. How are we going to cover that shortfall so that your child has the life that you want them to have as they get older? So now we're talking about protecting assets. That's protecting that shortfall, okay? Most important is having a last will and testament. Everybody needs a will. It's more expensive not to have a will than it is to have a will. You need, if you do not write a will, the New Jersey intestacy laws take over, and all the planning you did up to this date, the intestacy law says that your child will receive part of your estate. So all the planning you did will fall apart. So you need something in place. And that thing is going to be a trust. There's three kinds of trusts, basically. The third-party trust is one that you set up as part of your will. And when you set up a trust for special needs, you really should be talking to a financial advisor and an attorney who understands the government benefits that your child is going to receive and is receiving now, because the whole idea of that trust is to protect those benefits. The third-party trust is something that you name as a beneficiary to your 401k, your IRAs, your life insurance policies. It's something that you tell your relatives to name. They never name your child, they name the trust. You don't have to fund it today. It's something that you build now for the future. The other kind of trust is a first-party trust. That's for money that's been under your child's name. It could be money that they've received through an inheritance from a relative who didn't listen to you about the third-party trust, or it could be from a medical malpractice settlement that they received. That money is held aside for them. The third party and the first party trust, basically Social Security and Medicaid will ignore their existence. In a first party trust, the big difference is that when your child passes away, Medicaid will have a lien on that trust, so that any money that's remaining in that trust when your child passes away first gets paid back to Medicaid, and then anything left over goes to their heirs based on the intestacy statutes. Third-party trust, you get to name the beneficiary. There's no lien as long as no money in that account has ever belonged to your child, and you can name the beneficiaries. So it could be your other children, it could be other family members, it could be a charity that's important to you. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility if you do the advanced planning. The other kind of trust is a pool trust. That is a special type of first-party trust, so it does have the Medicaid payback. But if you can't think of anybody who to be trustee, and a trustee is somebody who manages the assets, if you can't think of anybody to do that for you, there are nonprofit organizations out there that will do what they call pool trusts. They basically collect different kinds of trusts from different people, pool the assets together, manage it as a bigger account, and your child still has access to their money that you put in. If you have a mutual fund, it's kind of the same thing. You all pull your money in to get different kinds of shares, but you still own your own share within that mutual fund. Okay, so then after the trusts, we have ABLE accounts, Achieving Better Life Experience accounts. That's a special type of account that Congress has set up. And what it's meant to do is save money for individuals who have special needs. It's not just intellectual and developmental disabilities, it could also be a physical disability. They can set aside money. It does have a Medicaid payback, but Medicaid will not count that as a resource towards their benefits. So you can put in up to $17,000 a year in 2023. It's the gift tax exclusion every year, so when that goes up, then the amount can go up. If your child's working, they can put some money, they have a higher exclusion amount that they can add to it. The resource limit is $100,000 that Social Security will not count towards their benefits. So again, it's not something for long-term planning, but it's there as an important tool in your child's financial plan. The money, you can pick any state that you want. There's 46 states that have ABLE accounts, so you're not stuck with just New Jersey. For more information, you should go to the website for ABLE National Resource Center. You can compare different states. You can compare the requirements within each state. So if you don't have the funds at the moment to fund the plan, you can use one of the states that will delay it for 30 days or something to fund that kind of plan. If you want your child to have access through a debit card, some plans offer them, some plans don't. The best thing about ABLEs is whatever one that you pick, if that doesn't meet your child's needs in the future, you can roll it over one time per year. So you can take that account and move it to another account. The final step in your financial plan is a bank account. Your child's going to need their own bank account for their Social Security money to be deposited into. You don't want it commingled with your own personal account. You can open up the account with your child, talk to your local bank about the requirements for that account. But remember, for Social Security, supplemental security income, your child can only have $2,000 in resources. So when that number gets close to $2,000, you can spill some of that money over into the ABLE account, which is why that's an important tool in the plan. All right. The Social Security is doing random audits, meaning every once in a while they'll call you up and ask you to give them access to the bank accounts, access to the ABLE account, because they want to make sure that your child's still eligible for supplemental security income. Children who are receiving Social Security disability income do not have a resource limit. So once they're on that, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Final thing is take all this planning that you've done and enact your plan. All right? You have to first look at the government services your child's going to receive. There's two types of government services. There's the entitlement services, which is basically school. Your child is entitled to a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment from age 3 to 21. They don't have to leave school at 18. They can stay within the school system, but not within traditional classes if you don't think that's what's necessary for them. Part of the education entitlement is that in 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court has decided that students are entitled to receive meaningful progress in their individual education plans, not just trivial progress, meaning actual challenging goals. At 14, your child's entitled to participate in their transition plan so that they can sit at the IEP, encourage them to participate as much as they can in a meaningful way. At 16, the IEP should include transition goals, employment goals, not just work, but your child can also talk about internships that they might be interested in. Your child might want to attend college in an accredited program or a vocational program, but they also can participate in many of the non-accredited special needs program at many colleges have throughout New Jersey, where they receive life skills and work skill training, but they also get to live on or participate in a college atmosphere, just like their non-disabled peers. Your child's entitled to walk at graduation, but they don't have to take their diploma until they're 21. So if all the kids are graduating that they know at 18, let them participate. They're entitled to it in New Jersey. The next type of government services are eligible government services. The big difference is that each government service has different eligibility requirements. It's not like school where you're entitled to services. You have to apply for those services. So the government services look at income, resources, the medical diagnosis, and how that diagnosis affects your child's daily living activities. So you're going to be looking at things like special child services. That's something available from birth to age 18. Early intervention services from birth to age 3. Children's system of care from age 3 to age 21. Now, a note here for kids who are within the foster care system, they can stay within the foster care system up to age 21. They just need to talk to their case manager about support services that they need from age 18 to age 21. There's also the Division of Developmental Disabilities. That's age 21 and up. That offers different support services, different activities for your child when they turn 21. DDD is now looking into opening it up for kids age 18 who have left the entitlement system of school and need limited supports for physical challenges that they have because there used to be a gap when kids left school at 18 to 21. But it's a limited amount of children that they're looking at, and that when you call the DDD intake office, you're going to talk to a specialist about your child leaving school, because honestly, keeping them in school is the best thing for them. You have the Division of Vocational and Rehabilitation Services. That offers job training services. That is job coaching, job exposure. Some schools offer what they call pre-employment training within the school system in that special 16 to 21-year-old group. If your school does not offer that, you can ask them about that, or there are agencies out there that you can access those kind of services for so that your child gets that experience working for a job, understand what it's like to have a job. Then there's some SSI and SSDI that I mentioned before. SSI, Supplemental Security Income, children are eligible for that at age 18. It's under their own assets, their own record. Some children are eligible for it before age 18, so those you should contact Social Security about it. Then there's the SSDI, Social Security Disability Income that I mentioned, that when you retire, your child might be eligible for those services as well. And again, talk to Social Security about the details on that. Then there's Medicaid. There are several types of Medicaid. There's Medicaid only, New Jersey Care Aged, Blind, and Disabled, New Jersey Family Care, that's the Affordable Care Act Medicaid that we all hear about. There's Workability, there's DDD, waiver Medicaid, and then there's also disabled adult child Medicaid. You can talk to your local county office about the different Medicaid programs that are out there, but remember, for SSI and Medicaid only type programs, your child only can have $2,000 or less. So again, look at your child's resources before applying for those programs. There's also what they call MLTSS, Managed Long-Term Services and Supports. It's a different type of program. It does not lead to the Division of Developmental Disabilities. It's a different level of service. So if you're receiving those services, you might want to talk to your case manager about that and what other services your child can receive through MLTSS. Then there's the usual ones, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance Program. That's also the free lunch program through the schools. Low-income housing energy assistance, HEAP. And then the regular housing, Section 8 housing, which is rental assistance. There's also housing supports, meaning having them live in an independent housing situation or a housing where they have a roommate and they receive supports from different government services to help them with their daily living activities. And then there's the traditional group home that we think of. But that is not the only choice for our kids. Our kids can have many different choices, many different things to achieve what they want in their life. The other part of your plan focuses on you, your will, and the trust that you need to set up to protect those assets. Think of guardianship. At 18, all our kids become legal, independent adults. Do they need a guardianship? There's different types. There's guardianship over the person, that basically you're the person responsible for overseeing their medical care and their day-to-day lives, or property, which is overseeing their money, or both. When you're looking at guardianship, you should always consider the individual's uniqueness, their likes, their dislikes, their hopes, their fears. Encourage to participate in decision-making, give deference to their expressed wishes, promote individuals' right to privacy and self-determination, maximize their opportunities and skills for growth and self-direction, and protect them from exploitation, abuse, and undue influence. That's part of what the judgment is for guardianship. So it is restrictive in some ways, but the child still can vote. They can still get a driver's license if they qualify. So it is not all restrictive. It's just building a safety net under your child who needs that safety net. If they don't need it, then look at supported decision-making. We all use supported decision-making. When you call a friend and say, well, should I do this or should I do that? That's supported decision-making. If your child has that level of independence and understanding, then they're a candidate for that. With that, you need a power of attorney, which is a financial document that says that somebody else can sign your name to other financial documents like banks and things like that. Healthcare directive that allows somebody to talk to your doctors. So we all need that. But if your child is not a candidate for guardianship, you should consider having them get those documents in place. And again, talk to your family attorney about having those drafted for you. So finally, you go back to when you were thinking about who's important in your child's life. That's your team. You're going to start building your team. You're going to start talking to people about these plans that you made and what they want to contribute. Can they contribute? Can they step up to be standby guardians if you're no longer here? Can they be people to help your child if they're using supported decision-making? So always, when you're looking at your plan, review your plan regularly, update it as needed, be flexible because changes happen, include your loved one in the plan as much as possible because this is about them as much as it is about you. And then share that plan with your team. Talk about it. explain to them what services your child's having and what you see as your child's future and what your child sees as their future. Thank you for viewing this presentation. We hope that you got a lot out of it.